In a world of increasing mental health challenges, psychology and faith can both provide tools for healing and wellness. This is the idea behind Journey on My Mind. Each episode, our panel of pastors and therapists sit down together to share their experiences and insights on the modern world's mental health issues: depression, loneliness, aging, addiction, and so much more. Join us now as we explore what it means to thrive at the complex intersection of spirit and psychology.
Edwin is on a mission.
He's on a mission.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. Sorry.
This should be on the video. This should be on this whole experience right here.
It is.
Yeah, I know.
Happening.
So welcome to A Journey on My Mind. And,
I was thinking
so glad you're here with us.
We
have our full complement of people. And Sam thought he was on Journey Now, but
no,
he's
I just
not.
had that name in my brain for some reason.
We're going to talk about gratitude today, so be thankful.
I am thankful.
I know you are. And Dave had a good idea. Why don't we just, if you could think of one thing that you're thankful for, besides, the obvious.
Yeah.
It could be a person, place, thing, circumstance, event, anything that you're grateful for.
So a noun. Person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
These are nouns, right? Okay.
Good schoolhouse rock.
I was going way back.
Schoolhouse rock. Gotta love it.
I had this weekend this past weekend was hard, but it was also really beautiful. My grandma was 92 and she passed away a couple weeks ago. And just being there with my family was just, I'm so thankful for that time. We don't get a lot of time together, especially my cousins and I. We was a bunch of us. We all grew up like brothers and sisters, so just kind of inseparable, and then life happens and we're all in different places and areas of the country. So just being together, I was so thankful, have a lot of gratitude right now specifically, but also just in general. And I was reminded of that this weekend, with our family.
That's great.
So it was actually so fun. It was, you don't think of a funeral being fun, but
I get it. Yeah.
It was, a celebration of life, really. It truly was I think that name was actually what it was. It was a celebration of her life. So we laughed a lot.
Stand-up routines.
It was like her service was like a stand-up. You would have loved it.
Yeah.
It was like my one cousin did a top 20 list. It was literally it was so fun.
That's a good idea.
I have a ton of gratitude for my family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Mine is less deep, but the thing that came to mind is just people who create hilarious GIFs and memes.
Oh, yeah.
Like we just had the presidential debate and all the humor that has come out of it. I just love.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess really it's humor that I'm really thankful for.
Yeah.
Just things that make me giggle.
Full for comedy.
Yes.
That makes sense that you work with Dave then.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's things in life. I love my family. I'm very thankful for my family. But what popped into my mind was just the flexibility of the life I have right now. I'm very thankful for that.
Flexible schedule.
Flexible in terms of just being able to do certain things that I wasn't able to do before, just because I'm empty nester. I've got grandkids. I can go to New York and visit my daughter. So it's that freedom piece of life, which is great.
That's cool. This could not have been better timing.
Okay.
Because there's someone I'm really grateful for. So I go on a fishing trip, and as one of my daughters says, fishing trip with air quotes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the guys who go on the trip really do fish, and I don't.
You don't, right?
And I've done this for pushing 35 years. And so
that's special.
It is special. My friend Todd Williams, it's really his circle of people at his house. Steve Kimmel, Chris Julian, Rodney Tyler, Paul Thomas, Eddie Thomas, and a guy named Don Hoover. And Don is one of the two guys that were part of this group that found out that they had cancer. He had pancreatic cancer.
Oof,
and he died, I found out, just a couple hours ago.
Oh, wow.
So it was expected. It was actually, we knew this was probably this week.
Pancreatic cancer.
But I really, I've gotten to know him over these decades, and he's just like, he was one of the best guys ever. He, like me, he was an adoptive father. He had biological children. He also had adopted kids that had very unique special needs.
Yeah.
He was amazing with them. He and his wife Tracy are just phenomenal parents. Another thing that they did was they moved into, now he's a veterinarian, has lots of resources, but they moved into a neighborhood that was less privileged and a poor neighborhood, created a very intentional community with other families in that neighborhood. Just was in relationship with that whole
That's cool.
Community. He's someone's very generous with his time and resources. Just like a model of the kind of person that you would want to be.
Yeah.
So it just, we talk about celebration of life.
Yeah,
it's sad, but I also I'm just so grateful for him as a person. And I think, like, I wrote down right before we started the words, like, he was wise, funny, godly, generous, authentic, kind, compassionate.
Wow.
I could go on.
Yeah.
And none of that is overstated. It's really the guy that
It's who
he
he
was.
was.
It was,
I love
just
that.
one of the best people in the world.
So good.
Very grateful to have known him over these years. So I'm glad. So now this is going to be out there in the world, and will be kind of a little bit of a part of the legacy for him. So I'm grateful that I had a chance to talk about it.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. So there's a psychology behind this, I understand.
Gratitude, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also a spiritual thing behind it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both of those, they collide there. But gratitude is often missed by people as being important. So,
and I'll lead, and I want to kick it to Lauren just to start off with, but I will say part of the reason why we wanted to do this is because we're entering this season where things are going to get increasingly more contentious and divided and hostile and
it's football
angry.
season.
It's football season.
Football.
That's
And then
why.
we have Thanksgiving.
And everybody has to sit around the table together.
Yeah, exactly. The timing is
Play
wonderful.
nice or not play nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we wanted to put some good things out in the world and also do it in a really practical way. So that's why we wanted to talk about gratitude. But do you have any initial thoughts about the psychology of gratitude?
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot on here about the idea that the way you think about something, has a lot to do with the way that you feel about it. Yeah. And when I'm working with someone who's depressed, particularly, one of the first interventions I go to is being able to do gratitude tracking, being able to say what's one thing you feel deeply connected to and grateful for every day, or 3 things you feel grateful for, or, what's something you like about yourself, something you're thankful for, something you're good at. Like that, that's something that I notice people saying often. That really was a shift for me. It was good for me to start thinking about those things because I had focused so much in on what was negative that it made me kind of zoom out and realize what I am thankful for. And there's some really good research on how helpful that is to treat some emotional problems. I mean, not that it's this like magic bullet, but can be really helpful.
Yeah. When people get down, depressed, anxious, their thoughts get really sticky. It's weird in the sense of, logically, we'd say if you're depressed, you'd want to get rid of those kinds of thoughts and feelings.
Right.
But it actually is the opposite. They seem to be more magnetic. We get really stuck to, because they just feel.
We collect them.
Not only we collect them, but we get stuck to them.
Okay.
And that's part of what happens with depression or anxiety is that people are actually more drawn to things that confirm their state rather than disconfirm.
Yeah,
Right.
It's like, I feel bad. I feel like everyone's turned their back on me. I feel like nothing's going right. And then your brain goes to kind of
To find those places where that is true.
Right. And find evidence of that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that gratitude does is pull you in a different direction.
Right.
It sort of serves as a bit of a counterweight. So
That's a good word.
yeah. And if you can do
And
it,
some of us need more counterweight than others.
I need less counterweight right now in my life. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
But you alluded to the benefits. And I actually, if we could take just a minute, I want to just hit you with some of the
Love it.
research-based
Let's do it.
benefits. of
Okay.
gratitude.
I love the research.
I do too.
I do too. And the reason why psychologists tend to to favor research is because we all have our own frame of reference.
Right.
We all have our own ideas about what, is true and not true.
Right.
The research really, if it's done well,
Yeah.
kind of gets underneath that. Sometimes it confirms something we already know, and sometimes it disconfirms
Yeah.
something. Like, give example of a disconfirming thing. Wouldn't you think intuitively that if someone's really anxious, that if you reassured them and told them why that's, not
Yeah.
really true, that would make them better?
Yeah.
It actually makes them worse,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
How it works.
that's how it works. And so gratitude is one of those things that the research confirms this is actually not just a nice thing, but has a lot of benefits to it. Anything to add to that part of it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about, my very first psychology class in undergrad where our professor was like, so what's true? Like, do opposites attract, or are we more drawn to people who are more like us? Like, everyone has a theory about that or ideas, but like, how do we tell the difference between what's true and what's not? And that's where research comes into play and helps us sort of understand the things we've always heard all our life, what's actually accurate and what's not. And this is a good example of that. Yeah.
Because we're going to have our own like experiential bias.
Yeah.
And everything, right. So that makes a lot of sense.
So
Well, I want to know, do opposites attract or is it?
What's the answer to that?
I actually don't remember.
Oh, you don't? Oh.
No, I don't remember.
Angela
It
and
does.
I are pretty opposite.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh,
I don't.
man.
I actually don't think there's really an answer to it.
Really?
Like I
I
don't
wonder.
know that that's something that's really clearly stated.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. But that was just like an example he threw out. He'd be like, or this wives' tale says this, or that. He was just giving examples
Yeah.
of things we kind of hold very tightly
Got
to.
it.
There might not be any research behind to prove.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Okay.
Like there's
Well, dang it.
this whole debate about like, are they most influenced by nature or nurture? Like their kind of temperament and wiring or
Right.
their life experiences.
Yes.
Do you know what the research says? And this is honestly true. It's almost exactly 50-50.
I wondered.
Yeah, it's
it
almost
makes sense.
right. And so it's not, because a lot of times in our jobs, if a kid's having trouble, people will say, well, we'll do a talk or a panel and they'll be like, well, is it the parents' fault? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah,
is it
yeah.
the parents? I'm like, that's just such a simplistic,
Yes. Yes.
and sometimes,
Well, of course it is.
yeah.
Yes and no.
Sometimes kids that have a lot of struggles have among the best parents you can imagine.
Yeah,
sure.
And sometimes,
Yeah, my kids. I mean,
that's right.
Your kids are perfect.
Anyway, but we digress. But the
Yeah.
point being that we wanted to set with that is that this is just not just good ideas, but something that we have research to back it up. I'm going to hit you with just a barrage of
Awesome.
benefits.
Let's
in
go.
4 areas: well-being, relationships, stress reduction, and physical health. Okay. Number 1, in well-being, people that practice gratitude intentionally have higher levels of positive emotion, increased optimism, greater satisfaction with life. They're happier and they're more content. That's pretty good.
yeah.
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 Improved relationships. People that intentionally practice gratitude. Again, I'm using that phrase, intentionally.
Yeah.
Have relationships that are more warm, trusting, and connected. Their bonds with other people are strengthened, and they feel better about the quality of their relationships. Stress reduction. People that intentionally practice gratitude were more resilient in the face of stress, and they had fewer symptoms of anxiety and depression. Right? And then physical benefits. People that practice gratitude had lower blood pressure, slept better, had fewer symptoms of illness when they did get ill, that it was less severe usually. They bounced back quicker. Their immune system seemed to be stronger.
Wow.
Is that not phenomenal?
You'd
amazing.
think we'd be
There's
able to
even
sell
physical.
this.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But the fact that there's even like
Yeah.
scientifically researched like physical benefit to
Yes.
practicing something like gratitude.
Yes.
Right.
Dave, do you know in those studies how they're measuring practice of gratitude?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's different in different studies, but
Yeah.
what they will often do is they will set an amount of, for example, they'll say, we would like for you to write down 3 things or 5 things every day that you're grateful for in a journal.
Okay.
And we want you to do that every day. And then they'll collect the journal, make sure people did it. And they might say, we want them to be different things every day.
Okay.
That's one methodology. Another methodology would be, we want you to write a handwritten letter to someone that you're grateful for and give it to that person. So there are different ways of doing it. The interesting thing is they all work.
Oh.
Right? It's no matter what the kind of the form of it, as long as someone's doing it intentionally, they're practicing gratitude. They're not just going like, "Oh, I'm grateful that
Right.
this thing
They're not
happened."
just noticing it.
I mean that's great, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm deliberately intentional. It's almost like a personal discipline, like
Yeah.
a spiritual discipline,
Yeah.
right? Of I'm gonna
Yeah.
intentionally practice
It's a
gratitude.
choice. Yeah.
Right.
It tends to have, and again, everybody's different.
Right.
And it's not saying if you practice gratitude, you're not going to get sick or
Right.
not get depressed or whatever,
Right.
but the benefits are pretty big.
Yeah.
And the reason why we set that all up with the research piece is that that's not just us talking like,
Right.
it's a great idea.
Right.
This is stuff that
shown.
we've known for decades now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, too, where I've tried to get in my own life is I think what the gratitude tracking can lead to is like just living out of a position of gratitude, like all day being oriented in that way. And I'll notice sometimes that slips and I'm not living in that way, like out of gratitude. And I'll have to sort of escort myself back to that. But that is when I'm most peaceful, my most content is when I am really like just living out of this position of gratitude, no matter what's coming, that's like my base,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm at a place in life where I feel like I'm more grateful now than I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I really am. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
That I'm
Right.
at this place because
Yeah.
there've been some rocky times like everyone has. And we're at a place where I'm just like, I have this margin in my head to just deliberately practice gratitude, and then it then becomes more natural. Let me tell you one interesting study. We've already kind of alluded to it, but I want to hit it with a big punchline.
Okay.
They did a study called a gratitude visit.
Okay.
The gratitude visit was I write a handwritten gratitude note about someone and what I'm grateful for. And by the way, if you two who went to my magic show, not to make everything back to the magic show, but
But here we go.
Yeah. Way to go,
I'm
Sam.
out, man.
Yeah.
the very last thing I did was a gratitude letter.
It was.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was intentional.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right?
I remember that. Oh wait, no.
Sam got left out.
Yeah.
But that was
It's very heartwarming.
the punchline of this. You write a handwritten letter, and then you text or call the person and say, "Can I come over and see you?" And you give them the letter and have them read it to themselves in your presence
While you're there, huh?
while you're
Okay.
there. And then you either talk about it, don't talk about it, doesn't matter, as much as you just are in their presence while they're doing that. Here's the punchline. People had significant increases in their level of well-being and happiness that lasted for a month.
Wow.
Like it boosted that for just that one moment.
Wow.
Had a month's worth of, it's like taking
For the person who received it or the person who sent it?
both. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a great
okay.
question.
Yes, both.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
I know what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
You're going to get
Writing
somebody
a
to
bunch of
write you a
letters.
note.
Oh yeah. No, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote a gratitude letter last week.
You did.
Made
So this is something you actually have practiced. I love that.
Yep. So,
There's a difference.
yes, go ahead.
In spiritual terms, there's a verse that people often misquote, but give thanks in all things is, and most people read that as give thanks for all things rather than in all things.
Yeah.
And there's a subtle difference for living a life of gratitude and being thankful for all that's in your life. There's a oftentimes, like when we went through COVID, I was a miserable. In all honesty, that was miserable. Not very thankful.
right.
Right.
Hard to be.
Hard to
Yeah.
be. Right. It was. I was hard to find the.
Oh, I see. The good things.
I
in
wasn't
that. Yeah,
thankful for that. I wasn't. I'll tell you right now. I was not thankful for COVID. I was not thankful for all the stuff the church went through. I was not thankful for any of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had to be. And you're
Again,
not going to make me.
It's
Right.
The thoughts get sticky. Then
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
I'm not going to budge from this.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Yeah. But I could if I would have been in a better frame of mind, I could have been thankful for other things in the midst of that would have helped. but it was
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
It was a season of bad.
Mm-hmm. And I think what you're hitting at is you're talking about being thankful in all things rather than for all things.
That's right.
That is really, and maybe I'm imposing a psychological idea on this, but
I don't know.
where my mind goes to is that's what we call cognitive reframing. You're in a moment that's bad, and then how can you reframe it in a way that's not dishonest or just missing,
Right.
or acting like that's not true.
Yeah.
But it's like, what about this is something I can benefit from, learn from, or could be
Right.
good. I had a conversation with a guy earlier this week. His first girlfriend, very much in love, the breakup.
Yeah.
And he's in college, and he was able to get to a place in the conversation where he was like, it still hurts, but this is what I feel like this has brought to me.
Yeah.
Right. I know I can be loved. I know that I can be a good partner. I know what kind of person is a good match for me. That's a cognitive reframe.
Okay. Is there a connection here between, we talked about this before, radical acceptance and thankfulness?
Probably.
Because that's like accepting what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I can't do jack about it.
Yeah.
So,
well, acceptance is really saying that part of it is like, okay, I accept the reality of what is.
Whether it's good or bad, I can't do anything about it. Right.
And I don't get stuck to it. But the reframing is actually beginning to move toward more affirmative, more positive.
Like meaning making.
Yes.
At least. Yeah.
Like what?
Like
Meaning making.
Making meaning of it.
Oh,
Making meaning out of it,
I thought you went back to what you were thankful for. I thought you said meme making.
Oh, meme making.
I'm like, okay, I'm in for this.
I love that.
It's a good circle back.
I love that. Yeah.
Lauren's stuck on memes there.
I really am. I just been like all day today.
I do
just
too.
looking
I have,
at
like-
stuff. I get all giggly.
I have loads of
people
memes
are
that I
so
send
funny.
people. Yes, they're fun.
I'm sorry. I actually did think you said, yeah, we make memes about
hilarious.
it. Okay.
I've totally lost the thread of the conversation.
Yeah. No, about
Thanks, Kev.
reframing a situation toward
Right.
gratitude.
Right.
And I do think there are some situations out there that you can't reframe into gratitude. That it's just like, I'm not, but maybe there are other things, like in light of this happening, are there still some other things I could be grateful for or whatever? Even if you're like, I can't get,
Nope.
at least right now, I
Right.
can't get to a place where I can come up with any meaning for this
And that's okay.
terrible thing.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give yourself a lot of grace to be like, right now I can't find the thread that's good in here.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't still practice gratitude in
Right.
different ways.
Right.
Now, maybe you're just not at a place where you can do that.
Yeah.
You know, we talked to someone this week that was like, right now I'm mad at God because their circumstances are
Difficult.
pretty bad
Yeah.
in some ways. And other people who are like, this thing is just, I'm in the middle of it and I can't see clear of it.
And it seems to be that there's something about you've got to generate it. Like when someone else tries to generate this for you,
Yeah.
it's, or rush you into it, it seems to not go well. It's almost like an invalidation, like I have somebody in my life who's the like at least person, anytime you ever
Yeah.
share something negative, they're like, well, at least this, at least that, always pointing
Always
out the
trying to
negative.
find-
And I'm like, no, I rebuke this.
No.
But if I got there on my own, it'd probably be fine. But,
Right. Yeah. When you said every day to write down 5 different things every day that you're thankful for, I was like,
And they have to be different.
that's what different.
you're like that plant, that box.
Have you practiced this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have practiced this,
Okay.
but not 5 a day.
Okay.
It can be, it doesn't have to be 5. It can be 3.
Kevin would run out after
All of a sudden, I
3
got
days.
stressed.
Yeah.
I got stressed. I got to find.
But I'll tell you, it's actually, this is what I would say about that is when it gets hard is when it's doing the work. In other words, if it's just like the thing that I'm like, oh, I'm really grateful for Sam because I saw him today. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
That was
Cool.
kind of
Yeah.
easy. But when I have to kind of really sit and ponder it and grind on it just a little bit to kind of get there, is where I'm actually getting that mental shift more. It's like building that muscle.
Okay.
It's like I'm moving out of this stuck, angry, anxious, down place and trying to deliberately push my
Like
thoughts.
forcing through that tension actually
Yeah,
creates
right.
it,
So
grows that muscle.
it's a little
Yeah.
muscle building
That's
in
cool.
that way.
All right.
So the fact that it can be stressful, but not in a debilitating way, right? But it can be something that when you're feeling that, it's like, this is just a little tough to do.
That's probably when we're going, this feels like a choice. Like, this feels like I'm deciding,
That's
right?
right.
Like, yeah, you're kind of having that conversation with yourself even at times.
Yeah.
At least that's how I experience
No, you're
it,
right.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Dave and I attended a creative writing class together with this woman named Kristen Eshelman.
At my birthday party.
Yeah,
Oh,
at
that's
Dave's
cool.
birthday party.
Birthday weekend.
Yeah, and so she
Month.
has a degree in sort of like therapeutic writing is her interest,
Okay.
and she's writing her thesis on that. And
She already did. She does a master's from Johns Hopkins. I think,
Yeah, yeah.
in writing.
Creative
Yes.
She's done a lot of research on
Yeah.
sort of like these creative writing exercises that can be therapeutic and how powerful they are. And she had us go through and list like all of our simple pleasures. What are all the holding your warm cup of coffee in the morning,
okay.
listening
Okay.
to music in the car, seeing the sun hit the grass, watching your children play, whatever they were.
Yeah.
And then like what were the ones that stuck out most to you, and why do you think you're grateful for those things? That was like the second column. Like what
Yeah.
is it about that? And then who do you credit for those things?
wow.
Whether it's, the person who built your house, your parent, your spouse, your whatever. And it was really powerful.
That's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, it was so powerful.
think
It was
everybody-
fantastic. We all cried.
Everybody in the group cried.
It's almost like
good.
it's causing you to drill down to
Yeah.
to understand
I
the
like
why
that
behind
one.
all of that.
I
That's
like
so
that.
cool. I do
So
too.
simple pleasures.
It's so snuck
That's
up on
cool.
me too.
Me too.
do that.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that'd be a good staff.
This is a very
practice.
Dave thing, but in my birthday weekend we had electives, and some people went out and shot air rifles, and other
Yeah.
people did other things. But we did this creative writing thing. I think there were 8 of us, and it starts off with this very simple
probably would've
stuff.
shot guns.
And we were, everyone was moved by it.
That's
Oh, I
awesome,
bet.
man.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That
really
is
cool.
So it's
So
good.
with the goal of, is this, you guys want to be more creative writers, or is it just, was the goal to write a story, or
No.
just to spur your brain on for creative writing?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Well, sort
Or
of.
to
Right. It's
understand.
more about writing your story
Okay.
and writing into your story in a kind of full way.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
thought it was great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
So that actually leads to maybe a last thing, and I do want to ask you guys before we wrap
Yeah.
up about how this gets lived out in a
Yeah.
community of faith.
Yes.
But some of the practical ways, like Lauren gave a practical way, we said another practical way is practice reframing, like looking at something and saying, okay, then how can I look at this and draw some things that are making meaning from it?
Yeah.
But the journaling thing, there's an app, a bunch of them, but I have an app on my phone where it's a gratitude journal.
Oh, that's cool.
And you can lock it if you want, and you can have it prompt you. Gratitude letters we've talked about, praying and meditating with gratitude. There's a concept in psychology related to mindfulness called savoring, and savoring is where you really allow yourself to be in it, where you're just completely dialed into all the aspect, like just
Like immersing yourself. in that.
yeah, you're really paying attention
Yeah.
to all the parts of it that are a great experience.
That's
like if
cool.
you're in an experience, you're just really paying attention to all
Yeah.
the sensory parts and the thoughts and the emotions. And then last thing I'd say is a cognitive ritual, building that into like family life, like occasionally, regularly at dinner or once a week, just saying, give us something that you're grateful for as a family ritual, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. We do it once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving.
You guys do. Yeah.
And that's it. And then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all.
it.
Any others to add to that? That's what I had with.
No.
That's
No.
good. Talk about how you all see this lived out, not just individually but corporately.
It's a community.
Yeah. Thankfulness is a tricky one. Gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah.
You see it in the evidence of the way that people treat each other, but also you see it in the evidence of how they understand who God is. If God is a grace giver, if God is one who is seen as pleasant and kind and for them, there's more a presence of oh, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for his presence in my life. I'm thankful for that. If they see him more as someone that is a judge and waiting for a chance to convict or condemn, and he's really not on their side. He's more just the observer who's waiting for us to screw up. There's not a lot of thankfulness in that. There's not a lot of gratitude towards God and towards others, because I think there is a direct reflection of how they experience God is oftentimes how they experience the rest of their lives and the world. And so we've intentionally tried to be very, how would I put this? We don't talk about thankfulness a lot or gratitude, but we do talk a lot about being receptive for people that are different than you. We talk about grace. We talk about mercy. We talk about relational equity that is built between people. And I think what we begin to see is there's a reflection of that takes place in the community. But this conversation is spurring me on a little bit and to love and good deeds.
There you go.
Yeah.
How about that? This just came to my mind when you're talking. And, we've done things where like, who are you mad at, or who is their enemy, or however, and sort of confess that, release that, sort of the hurts or things like that. And
we do a lot of that. Yeah.
And that's good.
Confession. Yeah.
But this actually would be, again, a counterweight to maybe a deliberate practice of who and what are you grateful for.
Right.
And
but it directly affects how you even see prayer, I think. I would argue how you approach God in your community and the assumption is what when you step into that moment when you say, okay, I'm going to converse with God. Is he for me? Is he against me? Am I grateful for him? Am I in this relationship because of grace and what he, or am I in this because I am deathly afraid that if I do anything wrong, he's going to squash me? All those things just breed a different culture.
What's interesting, I feel like we have a culture of gratitude, though, even though we don't necessarily talk about it in that language all the time. But I think some of the, as people experience maybe some freedom from old ideologies, or there's this, and the fact that, every week now, we can hardly get through the prayers and the,
I know, there's
that
so
people
many.
It seems like there's this trust, which I think kind of there has to be an aspect of gratitude in that I think people are showing as they are willing to entrust with those prayers. That, and I think that speaks to the vertical and horizontal aspect of that relationship. That people are, people are very gracious and have so much thankfulness that I've just experienced, and I don't know how to actually pinpoint the exact why. But that's what I experience in our people.
And I think because the community is being built in such a way that we're for each other. We are. People express it. They do. I'm really thankful for this. I'm thankful that you've helped me. I'm thankful for. So we hear it.
I feel exceedingly thankful for this church. And I know we want this podcast to not just be for Journey broader, but I am very grateful for it. It's the place I've come to with my faith is it would be hard to exist in a lot of other church contexts. It just would be in a authentic way. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all three of you.
You too.
Lauren in particular is coming to mind. She's been such a great business partner and leader and a fantastic person. Both of you men. So I'm very grateful for
I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for this church.
Me too.
I really am. It's redeemed a lot of things for me.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So
good stuff.
Thank you. Good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
Be grateful. Write down a list.
It's good.
Do it.
We're out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey on My Mind. If you enjoyed it, please help us spread the word by leaving us a review and sharing it on your social media. Journey on My Mind is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III is the show's producer with technical assistance from Randy Hansen. Grant Opperman edits the show. If you have a suggestion for a future topic or a question, you can text us at 615-861-9503. And if you would like to talk to someone about spiritual or mental health issues, you can email our care pastor, Sam Barnhart, at sam@journeytn.com.